So for 2-3 standard form, I want to make sure that we have a good grasp on what we've been doing so far. So go ahead and pause your video and take a look at this warm up. This is a good lead into what we're going to talk about in a second. So go ahead and do that first, and then I'll pop up the answers in just a moment. All right, so here are the answers to the warm up. And for number one, you have different options on how to graph that. We'll actually talk about that in a little bit. But most of you probably solved for y first and then graphed it, okay? Big thing is when you divide by 4, you're dividing each piece by 4. So you have to divide the 24 by -4 and the -3 by -4. Anytime it's a fraction that you can't reduce, just make sure that you are true to the sign that it's supposed to. So you get y equals -6 plus 3/4 x, or you can flip those two. Either way, you start down 6, and then our slope is positive, so up 3, right 4. On number 2, you had to solve just like you did on number 1. So again, we divided everything by -4. And you can write it as y equals 5/4 x plus 5. I'm fine with that as well. This is more y equals mx plus b, but you don't have to, because when you're adding things, it's fine if it's okay. And then number 3, it says when x is 0, y is what? And it would be 5. And when y is 0, x is what? So what you actually found here was the y-intercept and the x-intercept, okay? So it crosses the x-axis at -4, it crosses the y-axis at 5. So that is a process that you can do to graph it if you wanted to. So we could have done that with number 1. You would have gotten your x-intercept to 8, your y-intercept to -6, would have drawn the line through it if you wanted to go that route with standard form. So let's talk about standard form in general. It is the form ax plus by equals c. And there's a couple of different things that need to happen. Number one, there's okay, no fraction whatsoever. So make sure that that's okay. The other thing is that okay, so the value or c, but your a value. Okay. No, ax plus by equals c. Right? So x is first, then y, then it's going to equal. All right, so if we look at number 1, okay, right now it is in ax plus b y equals c, right? We have x, then y, and a number, right? Problem is there's a fraction. So how are we going to get rid of that 4 in the denominator? We're going to multiply by -4. And it gets x positive and it gets rid of that negative. So it would become this x. And I can multiply one thing, I have to multiply everything. So we have -4y equals -24. And that is my equation in standard form. And it doesn't matter whether I or your number are positive or negative, it's only the x that has to be positive, a value. So on number 2, you have different options on how to start this one. What I would do, honestly, is move the x over first. We would subtract this x to the other side. So we have -3/5 x plus y equals -12. At this point, I would try to figure out how to make x positive and get rid of the fraction. Well, we would multiply by -5. When we do that, we would get a positive 3x minus 5y equals a positive 60. On number 3, different ways to do this, but I'm sure most of you are thinking to distribute. We get -2x plus 2 and that's what y plus 4 equals. At this point, add 2 over. So we have 2x plus y plus 4 equals 2. And obviously we need to move the 4 over. So 2x plus y equals negative 2. Hopefully we're feeling somewhat comfortable with solving for standard form. So now we're going to do stuff that's very similar to what you've seen. We're going to write an equation of a line that goes through a point and has a slope. Well, anytime you have a point and a slope, let's put it in point slope form. So at this point, we would say y plus 1 equals 1/2 x plus 7. After we do that, we can then start manipulating it so it goes in standard form. I'm going to distribute the 1/2. Or we could multiply everything by 2, and I can show you that in a second. We would have 1/2 x plus 7/2. And at this point, we can subtract the 1/2 x over, or we can get rid of the fraction. I'm going to get rid of the fraction right now. Remember, you have to multiply everything by 2. So 2y plus 2 equals x plus 7. And we could have done that in this first step. Notice how it just gave us our parentheses back. You could have also just started manipulating it and taking 1 away from 7/2 and so on. All right, so we're going to subtract 2 over. I'm going to subtract x to the other side as well. So we get negative x plus 2y equals 5, which is super close to being done, but I can't have a negative x. So it's going to be positive x, negative 2y, negative 5. So we just change the signs of everything. Kind of like multiplying by negative 1, right, and distributing it in. On number 5, it's a very similar question, except we don't have a point and a slope, we just have 2 points. But luckily, we know how to find the slope from it. So change y over x. Negative 4 minus 0 and 1 minus 9 gives me negative 4 over negative 8, which is 1/2. Now, I can use either point. Most of the time we say to use the first one, but because I'm putting it in standard form, I'm going to use the second one because one of those numbers is 0. That makes it easy. Y minus 0 equals 1/2 x minus 9. Now, I don't even really need that part if I didn't want to. At this point, we can either distribute the 1/2, or if I multiply by 2 right now, it goes away. But I need to multiply this side by 2. So we get 2y equals x minus 9. We need to move x over. So negative x plus 2y equals negative 9. And yet again, our x is negative. So we need to change the signs of all of them. Now again, in the green, if you didn't want to do that, you could have distributed the 1/2 and then moved the x over and then multiplied everything by negative 2, which would have given you x minus 2y equals 9. Okay, still the same answer. Doesn't matter which route you go. All right, so now graphing in standard form. I kind of hinted at this earlier. You have options. Option number 1, you're going to find the x and y intercept, and then you're going to graph it. So the x-intercept is where y is 0. So essentially, equation minus the y. Okay, yes, you could write it this and then cross it off if you want. But if this is the case, I would divide by 8, and x is 2. So that would be the point 2, 0, which we can graph down here. We would find the y-intercept the same way, except again 0 for x. So that means the x would go away and you're left with 2y equals 16, which means y equals 8. So that point is 0, 8. From there, draw your line. Option 2, which is where most of you are probably going to go, is that you're going to put it in slope-intercept form and then graph it. So in number 7, I would subtract 2x and then divide by -5 and get y equals 3 plus 2/5 x. And we graph it by going up 3, and then we move up 2 over 5, up 2 over 5, down 2 over 5, down 2 over 5. Again, if you did your y-intercept and x-intercepts, you would have just found 3 and -5 and drawn it through there.